I think we forget how important food is in a just food economy, or even in a just economy. Hey, Angela Parker, doing scripture through womanist eyes. I'm using my Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2 palette, and I have it in the pink packaging. So I have been lecturing on Exodus. So I told you probably last week that I've been teaching the book of Exodus for a class for the Lutherans. And so as I'm carving out my crease, I was thinking about food. And if you know Spicy Ethics Prof, she's on here, and she made a comment, I think last week, about Cafe Bustelo coffee. Now, I drink Cafe Bustelo coffee. I just finished my cup this morning, and that coffee has gone from $6.29 to I think about $9.29 for a cup, for a canister. And we are living in inflationary prices where our food is going up. And that made me think about my lecture in the book of Exodus. In the book of Exodus, we talk about Moses freeing the Israelites from Pharaoh. We talk about the plagues, the 10 plagues that the Pharaoh and the Egyptians endured as God got them out of the Egypt. But then we don't talk about how God set up the folks in the desert. So now I'm going into this shade, this aubergine shade. I'm doing my outer corner. God, the first thing God does as he sets up, and I can't believe I just said that, the first thing God does as God sets up the Israelites as a community in the wilderness at Exodus 16 is establish a food economy. And as God establishes the food economy, there are rules. The rules are you only take enough for the day. You do not overconsume. And if you overconsume, there are consequences, because God does not want the people to hoard. Because what happens when you hoard? You take away from your neighbor. So God sets up the rules about how you are to be with your neighbor. And this even comes before the commandments, before Moses comes down with the legal codes, the 10 commandments that we're used to. So God shows the people how they're supposed to act through the manna food economy. You're supposed to love your neighbor through the food economy. And that made me think about Pope Leo. Pope Leo, I believe, made some comments about Elon Musk, and Elon Musk being the first trillionaire in the United States and even in the world. And how do we feel about Elon Musk being the first millionaire in the world? Well, I think we should all be kind of upset by that. I'm going into, what is this? It's a sexosynthesis. It's a very interesting shade. I'm going to put it on my lid. How do we feel about the world having trillionaires, billionaires, when the Doge cuts took money away from denominations like the Lutherans, who were actually feeding people in their denominational systems? So cuts from the government that the government used to give as grants for people to feed less privileged folks have been taken away. So churches, which actually were feeding people, are not able to do so because someone like an Elon Musk, who was taking money away through the Doge government, which is now being run by a Russell Vought, I believe, is taking away from that just food economy that we kind of saw in our Exodus narrative. So now I'm going to go in and just kind of tighten things up. In that Exodus narrative, If we read our biblical text and we say that we are trying to model our just economy and our lives and our public policies after our biblical text, wouldn't we take seriously the Exodus narrative that shows us an example of what God thinks is important, actually setting up a food economy where everyone can eat instead of burning food and getting rid of food that would actually help the people across the globe? So here's the final look. I use my Pat McGrath Mothership 8, Divine Rose 2. We really need to think about what it means to live in a just economy and a just food economy. A just economy would mean we would not have trillionaires like Elon Musk, and a just food economy would mean that everyone would eat. Angela Parker, Boozy Bible Scholar, thinking through the book of Exodus. And as always, friends, be bold, be brave, be brilliant.